It's Heat Week on America's Morning Headquarters, and aptly so, as temperatures in the middle of the country zooming into 90s, triple digits, feeling like it's 110.
So climate change meaning that we'll see more streaks, and this has been well documented, of record-breaking heat. Heat like we're seeing in the Pacific Northwest, certainly in late June. Higher temperatures have high implications for national security here in the United States.
So let's talk with Erin Sikorsky. She is the director of the International Military Council on Climate and Security, joining us from Washington, D.C. Thanks for being with us this morning. You know, 99% of American West is in a drought. So how does the drought and the heat actually affect national security?
Thanks, Stephanie. It's great to be with you this morning. I'd say the first way it affects national security is the tangible impact it has on the U.S. military, its installations and bases in California and the West, and its personnel. Already in June, 2 military bases in California had to evacuate part of their housing due to the wildfires. Not to mention the fact that forces then have to be distracted from training missions to help fight the fires out in the West.
And we've certainly had our share of hurricanes, too. Tyndall Air Force Base with Michael. Of course, we remember that one. And, you know, even places like Norfolk Naval Air Station having to make plans to maybe raise that base, or parts of that base will have to be moved. What are other plans for other military bases potentially?
Sure. So the U.S. military is actually going through a process right now where they have evaluated all of their installations, both here domestically, and are starting to evaluate them abroad as well, to how well they are set to be resilient against climate change, which is an important first step, right?
Absolutely.
You got to do the risk assessment first, but then you have to decide what you're going to do about it. And that's where I think the U.S. military will be focusing a lot of its time in the coming years, particularly as the Biden administration has put climate security at the top of its agenda, both foreign and domestic policy-wise.
And wildfires, too. How are wildfires a threat specifically?
Sure. So wildfires are a threat in a couple of different ways. As I mentioned, they can force the evacuation of bases. They can also curtail training days. We saw this in 2020, where U.S. troops had to curtail training missions because of poor air quality. Right. And then when you layer climate effects like wildfires on top of other shocks to the system, like the COVID-19 pandemic, it creates a really challenging mix of issues for U.S. national security. Again, not only here at home, but also abroad, because you're seeing these effects not only in the U.S., but sometimes I joke you can spin a globe and put your finger down and you'll find a climate security impact somewhere. These fires are not just happening here.
Yeah.
Oh, big time smoke in Eastern Asia right now. All right, so Erin, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin calls climate change an existential threat to the United States. What is the Biden plan over the next 4 years to deal with this?
Sure. So in the executive order that the Biden administration released in January, they tasked the Defense Department and other security agencies with a range of things, including first to evaluate the risk, which is really important. And then once they've done that evaluation, to integrate it into the national defense strategy, into all of the regional strategies of the U.S. military, which I think is really important, right? This can't just be off in some office alone by itself, but it needs to be integrated because it affects everything and every security risk the United States faces. Climate change shapes the landscape, if you will.
Yeah, and around the world too, right? This is a global thing, and we have
military
bases all around the world. Yeah.
Thank you, Erin.
Erin, we appreciate your information there.